Well, hi guys, hope you're all well. Yeah, I haven't been out a lot. Firstly, I've got a couple of apologies to make. Yeah, the first one is I apologise really for the lack of content that's been going out. It's, yeah, unfortunately it's been a combination of things. And the main thing has obviously been lockdown. I've managed to get out and have one session during the lockdown that you've seen. Obviously I've managed to upload that was on the river at Ferry Meadows. But then after then, I did mention in that video that I had to go for quite a major operation on my foot, and I'm now 6.5 weeks after that operation, and I'm finally able to get out and do some fishing. So my second apology is I did have a match last weekend, and I didn't film it, so I do apologise. But the reason for not filming it is because it was at Boddington's. It was my first trip out after my operation. Didn't quite know how I was going to be because my foot is still very sore, and Boddington's really hasn't been fishing very well at all, and as it happens, it fished terrible. There was about 15-20 of us, and there was only 4 carp caught anyway. And there was only 3 people that caught them. One guy had 2, he won the match, and then there was a couple of other guys that had 1 each, and one of them had a roach as well. So but yeah, apart from that, there was nothing else caught, so it really wasn't worth filming anyway. But yeah, for those of you that are squeamish, I would advise you to look away now, because I'm just going to show a picture of what they did to my foot. So if you look away now, okay, right, so you've seen what they've done to my foot. Yeah, quite a major operation. 2 plates, 4 pins, 2 neuromas removed, and a steroid injection into another neuroma, and the main nerve removed later. Yeah, I've healed really quick, done really well, and yeah, I'm up and running. So I've come out today, not on a match. I've come out to one of my favourite venues on what's going to be probably quite a hard day, and it's Ferry Meadows. Don't know if you can see there. That is one of the lakes at Ferry Meadows. That's Gunwade. I'm in the car park at the moment, so I've not got my gear out the car. As you can see, it's all still in here. Yeah, so I just decided I hadn't got a match today, so I was going to come out and see if we can catch a bream. I say a bream because it's going to be a miracle if we actually get one. So going to go over the ground bait that I use, going to go over the rigs that I use, so I've got a bit of time to do that as it's not a match. And I shall obviously see if we can catch a bream. That's the target today, 1 good bream. We might get some skimmers, we might get some roach, but yeah, I'd like to get a big bream if we can. The weather has been horrendous. It started getting warm, and then it's just plummeted, and we've had northerly winds, easterly winds. Temperatures have been going down to -1s and 2s and 3s at night on a regular basis, and everywhere's been fishing pants. It's unless you're sort of like in a small commercial pond that's full of colour and loads of fish, everywhere's been a bit of a struggle, to be fair. All the rivers, all of the main natural waters, the natural venues, obviously the colour's gone out of them now, so yeah, it's very difficult, and with the cold weather it's just switched the fish off. So today we've got an easterly, it's a northeasterly. Not really windy, but it's going to be, it's an open venue, so we're going to have a bit of wind. I'm actually going to have the wind hopefully off my back shoulder. I'm going to go over and fish on the monument. So I think it's pegged 67, 68, something like that on this venue. So I'm going to go over there and give it a go. And there's a little bench there as well, picnic bench, which I can sit on and go over me ground bait rigs with you. So yeah, so I'm going to get all the gear out of the car, get loaded up, and then get over there and see if we can catch a bream. So I shall see you once I'm over in the swim. Right, me off. See you in the swim. Oh dear. Right, I'm here guys. Whew. Made it. Peg 68, as you can see. So this is the monument. There's the monument behind me. You see that? So actually got a guy fishing next to me, so which should be nice. I actually thought I'd come over here, there'd be no one around, so can't see anyone else on the lake apart from this one person over on the high bank. And I noticed there was another guy in the car park, Paul Rayner, and yeah, he's going over onto the other lake, which is Overton, and he's going in the hundreds, I think. So yeah, so this is me today, Peg 68. Oh, excuse that, wobbling the camera. Actually got it still attached to the tripod. So you can see the winds left to right. So it's a bit of an easterly today, which isn't fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. The temperature was about sort of 4 degrees when I got here this morning. Don't think it's going to get above 8. And it's an easterly northeast wind, so yeah, it's not ideal. But the objective of today is to just get it to go round once, just get one bite, one bream would be really good, because I know a lot of people have been coming up here and blanking. So yeah, it'd be nice to see it go round. So anyway, I'm going to get set up and get my box in the water, get myself all sorted, and then I'll go over my ground bait mix with you. Then I'll get my rigs all sorted out, and then I'll go over them with you as well. So chap next to me is called Peter. He lives local to me, actually, lives near Biggleswade apparently, so which is strange. Anyway, but it'd be nice to see if he gets a fish or two as well. So okay, I'll come back to you in a minute once I've got the stuff in the swim. Cheers. Hi guys, hope you can hear me. It's a little bit windy, so I do apologise for the sound quality. I just want to go over my bait that I'm going to use today. Like I say, I'm just after one pull, one bream. I think it's going to be very, very hard. So I'll just go over the bait I use for this sort of fishing. As you know, I use the Peg #1 baits, and yeah, they do a really good sort of a range of what I class as really good bream ground baits. The one I use all the time, it doesn't matter if I'm fishing in a river or if I'm fishing obviously in a lake or a natural venue like this, is the Mayhem Green Mix. It's so versatile, this ground bait, it's unbelievable. It's a nice green colour. I've got some mixed up here, I don't know if you can, how well you can see it, but this is my mix I've done for today, and predominantly that is the Mayhem Green in there. Really, really good ground bait. You can have it nice and dry, you can make it wet and sloppy, or you can have it kind of in between, and it always comes back. It doesn't matter what you do to it, it's a really versatile ground bait, always comes back. On a day though, that it's very, very fish mealy. This is, it's got quite a high feed content. It's very pellet based, as it says on there. It's a pellet based ground bait. So it's got quite a high feed content. So if I want to cut down on the feed content, I use the Mayhem F1 Dark. Now this is more of a browny dark ground bait. I don't know if you can sort of see it through the packaging there, but it's more of a, you know, a browny beigey colour, like a sort of a brown crumb kind of colour, but it's more, as it says, it's more of an F1 style ground bait. It hasn't got as much feed in it. So today I've used a whole kilo of the Mayhem Green, and I've actually used half a kilo of the F1 to just kind of sort of cut down on the food content, because I just don't think there's going to be a lot of fish out there. But with Ferry Meadows, you just never know. It's one of those venues that you've got to put the bait out there, because if they turn up, they hoof it up really quickly, and you'll be absolutely gutted if you don't have enough bait out there to hold the bream, because when they move in, they're big breaming in big numbers. If you ain't got enough bait there, they just have a little munch and they're gone. So it's nice to have a good bed of ground bait out there. can, you know, be one of those venues where you can put too much out there and kill it. I don't put worm out there straight away. I just tend to just put ground bait out there. In my mix today, you'll be able to see in here, there's little black flecks and there's some little yellow flecks. Now what I've done is I've actually got some corn and I've put it through a blender and mushed it right up, and a very, very small amount of that I've actually put in this ground bait. And the little black flecks are the peg number 1 micro black pellets, and I always just put a few of those in there. You can't really see them in this, but it's quite amazing when that sits out there on the bottom. Those little black flecks actually stand out, especially with the little yellow flecks as well. One of the reasons you'll notice here is it's quite a dark ground bait, and it's not normally as dark as this, but what I do is I've got my molasses here, and I always add some molasses into the water before I put any water into the ground bait. So I put a bit of molasses into the water, mix it round, and then I use that as my mix, my water mix, obviously, to wetten up the ground bait. Molasses is very sweet, and it's just renowned that, you know, bream love sweet molasses, so I always add that in, and that makes it a little bit darker. And one of the reasons I use a dark ground bait on a venue like this, most of the venues I fish are natural big open venues. This time of year, the water, I mean, well, on big open natural venues, most of the times of the year, the water's crystal clear. There's hardly any colour in it. There is a river that runs into this. It's the Nene that runs into it, and it runs out of it. When it's really humping in, because we've had a lot of rain, you get a bit of colour in the water, and it really fishes well then. But it's very rare that happens. It's normally pretty clear here. So you don't want a really bright ground bait. You don't want it just being, you know, sort of yellow or very white or brown. You want it dark. So by using the Mayhem green with the dark F1, and then I add the molasses to it, it really makes it a nice dark green. And the colour of that, when you actually look at the bottom and you throw that on the bottom, it's not going to spook them at all. It's almost matches the colour of the bottom. So that's the reason why I use what I use. The other bait I'm going to be using today, Peg Number 1 do a range of corns. They do the strawberry, and they just do the normal sort of yellow Scopex, and they do also it's pink almond as well. I'm actually going to be using the red strawberry today. Once again, I've blended a load of this up, so I've actually got it loose to add into my ground bait as and when I want to put it in, and I've also got some whole pieces as well that I can put on the hook. So that's it. It's really simple, nothing complicated. As you can see, the mix today, if I squeeze it, it's quite firm, it's quite moist, but it does break up quite easily. So I've got it fairly moist, so it will get straight down to the bottom. It's not going to create a big cloud, and I am going to obviously bait it up in a minute, and it will just stay down there. When the bream start feeding, it will kick up a little bit, but it will settle quickly again. There's nothing there that's going to take the fish away. There's always a tow at Ferry Meadows. There are on most big natural venues. You get a bit of a tow. You don't want that ground bait being pushed away by the tow and the bream going with it. So anyway, yeah, that's the bait I'm using. If they've got any questions about it, please, you know, message me. It's not an issue on the YouTube or via Messenger. It really isn't a problem. They do obviously a much more larger range than that, but those two ground baits are what I use nearly everywhere I go. Sometimes I just use the neat green, and sometimes I add in, like I say, if it's going to be slightly harder coming out of winter or in winter, then I use the F1 dark. If it's like right in the middle of winter and it's really, really, really cold, I will only use the F1 dark. I won't use the green. So there's a much lower food content in that. If I fish places like Barston, I actually just use the milled pellet. I don't use either of those. I just use milled pellet. So there's not a great deal of food content in those at all. Anyway, I'm going to go over to rigs now. So I'm just going to put these to one side. My rigs, I've got a long line and I've got a short line, and I'm actually fishing very, very, very similar rigs. So this is my long rig. The rod I'm using today is the Free Spirit. It's a high S power feeder. It's a 13 foot. It's the distance version rather than the special version, just purely because I'm going to be feeding a lot of ground bait out there, and I need something that's going to be powerful enough. This rod I'm fishing at the moment is going to be at 55 meters, and I will slowly work my way out, probably up to about 70 metres. So I need a rod that's going to do it. You can see the wind is actually blowing. It's left to right, but it's kind of in our face. So today, so it's going to be quite difficult chucking it out there. There's going to be a big bow in the line, so I need something that's powerful to punch it out there. Now, obviously when you're fishing with bream, I tend to fish with braid, which is what I've got on today. I've got braid on. I've got a 25 QD Dower distance reel as well, coupled up with this one. They just work very well together. But I've got braid on there. Obviously with the braid, there's no stretch. It's your bites go round and they're on basically, but you can see absolutely everything. So when you lift into it, you can't pull it really hard because you'll just pull the hook straight out of their mouth. I do use a shock leader just to sort of help cast it, the aid of casting, and also it just gives a little bit of a cushion as opposed to being braid straight through. In regards to the rig, because I'm using a stiff rod and I'm using braid, this is my rig. As you can see, this is just a matrix. It's a plastic bullet feeder. Once again, it's going to aid with the casting. No bait can come out the bottom of this, so when it gets down to the bottom, I know that bait's going to be there and it's not going to be coming out. It's only going to come out once it obviously starts expanding and coming out, but it's not going to come out on the way down. So because it's fairly deep over here at the monument, but you can see this. I don't know if you can see it on here, but it's just a free running rig. Okay, so obviously I've got the extender on the feeder, and then it's just a little snap swivel there that's sliding on. So there's nothing. The only thing to stop that is I've actually got a small bead here that's there, and then I've put a sleeve over that bead, and this section here is actually feeder gum. Some people call it power gum, but they do two different types, feeder gum or power gum, and you can see that's got quite a bit of stretch in it there. If you look, because I've got that stopper there, and with this sleeve it kicks away from the feeder, and I will attach different types of rigs to that. So I will just fish a standard hook, or I may use a quick stop if I want to fish corn on a hair, or worm on a hair, which is what I'll probably start doing. But the main thing is, when you're fishing at distance, especially when it's windy, is you want this kicking away from your feeder so you're not getting in tangles. So it's a really good, you can see that bit of weight on there, and that pushes everything away. Hopefully you can see that. But the reason I'm using the power gum is because I'm using braid and I've got a stiff rod, so powerful rod, and all that will do is just cushion. So when I've got to fish a little bit closer in, and you know the bream, they tend to pump away, bump, and the hook comes out. So hopefully this power gum is going to stop them coming off. That's the reason I'm using the power gum. So like I say, I'm fishing that at about 55 metres. I've clipped up. So let's go over to my other rod. Right, fingers and thumbs this morning. So right, this is an 11 foot. It's once again, it's a Free Spirit. It's high S version, and it's the 11 foot power feeder. But this is the special. This is going to be my short line. These rods are absolutely amazing. They're just absolutely fantastic for any sort of short work you've got to do up to about 40 metres. You can go further than that, but 40 metres and under, they're just a fantastic rod. What I didn't talk about was the types of tips I've got on both of these rods. So I've got a 1.5 ounce tip on my longer line, and I've got a 1 ounce tip on my shorter line. So fairly light tips. They are carbon tips rather than glass. But I am fishing with braid, so the bite detection is going to be really good. Once again, this is coupled with the 25 QD Dower distance reel, and it's once again it's really well balanced. I have got the new 40-20 Dower tournament reels, which I'm just waiting for some braid to put on those, and I will start using those on these shorter rods. But the rig, going back to the rig, is exactly the same. It's a free running rig. See that? It's on the shock leader. Once again, I'm using braid, got a shock leader, got the extension on the actual feeder as well, and I'm using the power feeder as well there, power feeder gun. Got the little bead under here. I can pull this sleeve off, maybe able to see a bit better. If I pull this sleeve away, all I've done is I've put a little quick stop there. I've got a loop in the power gun, a loop in the other end of the power gun. Obviously I've got this sleeve, I've got the stop here. I tie my shock leader to one of the loops, just a standard half blood, pull the bead down to it, and then I pull the sleeve up over the top of that bead, and then that just sits in there like that. And as you can see, it kicks away again, lovely, perfect. Got a loop in the end of the power gun, and then all that's going to happen there is I'll just do a loop to loop with my rig. Like I say, it could be just a standard hook, or I may use like a quick stop hair rig on there as well, because I'm going to be using worm and corn. Sometimes, just the way the bites are here at Ferry Meadows, you're actually better off to use a hair rig, because they can just be so finicky and funny that you just sit there and wait for it to really go around properly. So yeah, they're my rods, reels, line, and my rigs I'm going to be using. Like I say, I'm going to be just swapping between standard hooks, you know, just using dead reds, and I'm also going to be using hair rigged hook lengths as well, which I'll probably start off with, to be fair. So right, I'm now going to go and start baiting up. I'm going to put a fair bit out there, probably about 10 feeder loads on the long line, probably about 4 feeder loads on the short line, and then I'll go and sit out on that long line and see if I can get anything. Like I say, I'll probably start off with a bit of corn and a worm on a hair rig, and hopefully it'll go round. So I shall see you once I'm in the swim. So I'm starting the baiting up process now. Got me blended up strawberry there, sweet corn. Just going to put a small pinch of that in. A few dead reds. And away we go. It's very windy, crosswind, and it's in the face, so it's quite a hard cast really. At 55 metres, it's quite a long chuck. That's the reason why you need a powerful rod, to make sure you're getting in that right spot every time. So it's just sinking now, still sinking, tip's still going round, and there we go, tip's come back, so that means it's hit the bottom. So just leave it for a couple of seconds, tighten up, give it a good shake, baits out, and then reel it in. And just keep repeating that process. I'm going to probably, like I say, put about 10 of those out there on that long line, 4 on the short line, and then I'll keep alternating between the two lines, just sort of resting the line, topping them up during the day as I'm going along, and just hope those bream move in. They won't all have sweet corn and dead red in. Some of the casts out there will just be ground bait, nothing else. There you go. Tip's going round still sinking. Still sinking, that's it, tip's come back, it's hit the bottom. Tighten up, a few shakes, and that's emptied it. Right, I'm going to carry on baiting up. It's a process that you want to take your time on. You want to make sure you're getting it in the right spot, have a few practice casts beforehand, and yeah, so at least you know, pick a mark on the far bank, so you know you're fishing in the right spot where you put your bait. So all I can advise really, but yeah, it's all about accuracy, so on big waters like this. Right, I'll come back to you in a minute. Cheers. So I didn't actually say, I'm actually using the Guru Exchange bait up feeder. They're really good, these are. You can get a couple of different sizes. This is a slightly smaller one, as in height wise you get an extra window on the taller one. With the Exchange feeders you can literally just undo that lead on the bottom, and adjust it to whatever you want, so you can put 20 gram, 30 gram, 40 gram, 50 gram, 60 gram on there. So, and at the moment all I've got is a 20 gram on this, because this is now for my short line, so I don't need much on there. That wind's really getting up now, so I do apologise about the sound quality, but I'm just going to bait up my short line now, put 4 out there, then I'm going to start fishing on that long line. So come back to you in a minute. Right guys, well I'm finally fishing. Like I say, I've put 10 bait up feeders with some liquid ice corn and some dead reds out on my long line, and I've put the same, but only 4 of them out on my short line, and I'm now out on my long line now. I can sit on there for a while. I'm fishing a hair rig with a quick stop. I've got a whole dendrobina on, not a huge one, about a medium-sized dendrobina on with a piece of corn, so quite big baits. What I've actually done is, I will show you a bit later, but I've actually got quite a long hair, quite a way away from the hook, and what that tends to do is it tends to stop you getting a lot of the smaller fish, because they might have a little play about with it but not necessarily hook themselves, but a big fish will come along and thump it will all go in. So if you're getting played by small roach and things, sometimes fish a hair, but make it a long hair so it stands away from the hook quite a way, and that way you'll still get little taps and that from the smaller fish, but they won't actually hook themselves, whereas obviously the bigger fish will take it all in, including the hook as well. So that's what I'm fishing at the minute. Like I say, with that sort of style, they tend to hook themselves, so it should be a nice pull round, bit of luck. As you can see, I'm already showing you on here, it's a bit mucky here where I've been baiting up, but that's me liquidised corn, that's me standard, well, red corn, strawberry corn, there's me dead reds. I've got 1/4 kilo of dendras here, and obviously you can see I've chopped some up. I've not put any of the chop out there. This is my ground bait mix that I've been using. So and yeah, trusty stopwatch as ever. I'm on 7 minutes now on this first cast. Got my bait up feeder there. So yeah, I've not put any worm out there yet because, you know, I just want to ease my way in with the worm. I will try that. It's about 12 o'clock now, so in the afternoon, so yeah, so it's midday, so hopefully it may start warming up a little bit. It's absolutely freezing cold at the moment, so but, and the wind's quite strong, but it is overcast. There is a nice ripple on it, so that's ideal for the bream when the water's clear. So hopefully with a bit of luck, might give the bream a bit of confidence to feed, so fingers crossed. So hopefully come back to you with a fish on. So see you in a minute. Cheers. So just to show you the hair rig, see that, so it's quite a long hair. Well, you can see it, I hope you can see it well enough. See, I've got a full dendrobina on there, medium size, and a piece of corn as well. It's quite away from the hook. So what that will hopefully do is stop a lot of the smaller fish from having a go, if there's smaller fish down there. So it almost sort of guarantees you it's going to be a half decent fish, because obviously the little fish just nibble that and they don't get hooked. The bigger fish will take the whole lot in, including the hook. That's the idea anyway. So that was my first cast. Left it out there 20 minutes, didn't go round. Now going for the second cast. Like I say, this time still just got some dead reds in there and a bit of blended up corn. Still not put any worm in it yet. It's quite a nice toe on it today. Always prefer to fish it with a bit of toe. Right, set the stopwatch again. Hope he goes round this time. Come back to you in a bit. Right guys, well, I've been fishing for just over an hour now. I've had one cast for 20 minutes and then I've had 3 casts at 15 minutes. And I've had one liner on my third cast. It was a liner, it weren't a touch, my bait weren't touched, but yeah, it was an encouraging sign, but yeah, still nothing. So anyway, this is my 5th cast that I'm on now, and I've actually come off the hair rig that I had set on. I've just got a conventional hook and line on. I've got a small bit of worm and a couple of dead reds on there now, so there's obviously not an abundance of fish down there at the moment, so yeah, just try and sort of fine it down a bit and see if we can get a bite. But I've not looked on the short line yet. I don't intend to do that until I'm at least a couple of hours in, but yeah, so we've got another hour to go before I might even have a look at that. All depends if it starts kicking off on the long line, but yeah, so anyway, I'll hopefully come back to you with a fish on. Now I've swapped over, so come back to you soon. Well, that last, guys, it's gone round. It's my first cast with just dead reds on. So bite was absolutely tiny. I've got to be honest with you though, I can't actually feel this fish pulling back. I had a bite, so I don't know if I'm just pulling weed in. I don't know what it is, we'll find out. And a tiny little bite and then a drop back, and I hit it. I can't actually feel a fish actually pumping on this, so I know I have got a little bit of a weed bed out there where I'm casting to. I'm hoping that there's a, oh yeah, there's definitely something on that. Oh, does that just come off? Oh, it's just come off. Bloody hell. Oh, do you believe that? Not quite sure what was going on there. I don't think it was hooked properly. It might have been foul hooked. But don't know if you guys can see that. And there's definitely some slime on my hook there. So it was definitely a bream or a skimmer. So that's a bugger. Anyway, I've had a bite, which is good. So let's go out there, see if we can get another one. Well, I've had another bite, guys. But it's not a bream, feels like a roach or a skimmer. Didn't get nothing on that next cast after I lost that one, and then this has just been out there 4 minutes and it's just gone round. But it's a bite and it's a fish. Guys, I think it's a bit of a hybrid. It's a fish, not the big one we was looking for. But it's saved the blank. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, double dead red. So we'll give that another go. See if we can get his daddy. Come back to you in a minute. It feels a little bit bigger than last time. I caught that small skimmer stroke hybrid, and then last two casts after that, sorry, the next two casts after that, I had touches but it didn't go properly, and then this one's been out there 4 minutes and it's just gone round. So yeah, a few fish out there now, which is good. And Peter, who's next door, he's just had his first fish, so hopefully might be getting a few just coming on, so which is good. I'll say this one does feel a little bit better than the last one, so they tend to be like I say, coming around about 4 or 5 minutes the bites, which is good. I did change things a little bit. Yeah, what I've done was started speeding up my casts. So I was doing 15-minute casts. I changed that to 10-minute casts, just to see if I could sort of force it, and yeah, seems to have done the trick. It's gone. I was going to hold it up for you. It's gone. Well, let's hope they keep getting bigger and get some more. come back to you with his daddy. Cheers. Oh, alright guys, as you can tell it's blooming freezing. I had to put my coat on now as well. This wind's bashing in our faces here. It's, I think the temperature's saying it's about 6 degrees, but it feels like it's only 2 or 3 with this wind. It's really cold. Quite surprised actually. I've actually managed to catch a couple of small fish really, but with this cold wind. But we'll still keep plugging away. It's yeah, it's 2:45 now, so I've been yeah, been fishing for nearly 3 hours. And as I say, it's been nice to have a few indications and a couple of bites, but so far not had any of the big girls. But we'll keep going. What I'm going to do now is just going to finish this cast, and then I'm going to go on my short line. I had about 4 casts on the trot where I was having indications, and then on the final one I actually caught that last fish. So I knew there was a few fish around, and Peter next door, he had one as well. But since then I've not had a touch. So yeah, I've had a couple of casts since then and nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest that line now and just go and have a little look on my short line. So it's yeah, it's been a few hours since I fed it. The only problem is there's a bloody cormorant that keeps swimming through the swim, and he's out there sat on a buoy at the moment. But yeah, so it's not only have we got a northeasterly blowing right in our faces and it's freezing cold, we've got blooming cormorants swimming through the swim as well, which isn't helping. But yeah, anyway, like I say, I'm going to go on a short line after this cast is finished and see if we can get anything on that. Come back to you soon. Well, there seems to be a few smaller fish on my short line. But, yeah, none of the big girls are there, unfortunately. I'm going to give it a couple of more casts on the short line, and then I'm going to go back over to the long line again. I'm getting lots of touches and lots of bites. Very often it actually goes round properly. That one did, and obviously I got it in, but as you can see, they're only small fish. I'll come back to you in a minute. Well, I've gone back out on my long line. I didn't have anything on the first cast out there, but this is my second cast, just on dead reds again, and it's gone round. It's only small. Just don't think there's any big uns around today, unfortunately. I'll probably give it about another half an hour, but I'll continue on this long line. I can carry on catching these small ones on the short line nearly every cast, but this time it's a roach rather than a skimmer. Oh, and the hook's come out. There you are, lots of small ones, but no big girls. Whoops. Oh. Still wiggly, even though it's cold. Fish are freezing. There you are. Well, I'll carry on. You never know, in the last half an hour it may go around with a big one. So, if I don't get a big one, I'll come back to you once I'm packing away. See you in a bit. Oh folks, I'm going to call it a day. I've had no big uns. been out on that long line. I've actually, last few casts, I've been peeling off a couple of metres at a time just to see if there's anything beyond my feed, but nothing. Even the smaller ones now have disappeared. So I'm going to pack away, get all my gear back to the car, and then I'll have a bit of a rundown with you when I get back to the car, because it is freezing. Alright folks, back at the car. Oh dear, I must admit that cold wind nearly knocked all the enthusiasm out of me today. Oh dear, what's that program called? Location, location, location. No, I wasn't in the right one today. Yeah, I made a bit of a mistake really. It was meant to be an east-northeast wind, and well, I say a mistake, but I sat where I thought the wind was going to be coming off of my left shoulder, and in fact it turned round to a proper northerly. It was almost in my face all day. So, but hey ho, there you go. Sometimes you can, you know, sit with the wind in your face, and you know, that's where the fish want to be. But it was so cold today that yeah, they certainly weren't going to be following that. So anyway, the objective today was to try and get a nice big bream. It didn't happen. Yeah, first bite, obviously I hooked it to something half decent, but it looked like it was foul hooked. It was just coming in a bit like a, you know, a load of weed really, and it was only just as I got it right close, I felt it sort of thump and it come away. So, well, obviously we know it was a bream or a skimmer, because there was slime on the line. But yeah, other than that, I had about a dozen fish today, all skimmers apart from one roach right at the end. I think one might have been a hybrid, but yeah, there was nothing decent unfortunately, but at least it was nice that the tip went round. The chap that was to my left, his name was Peter, he had one fish. It's funny, we had a bit of a spell where he was getting a few touches and I was getting a few touches. I had about 4 or 5 casts, sort of, I don't know, round about, I can't remember now, I'm sure it was about 2:30ish, something like that, 2 o'clock-ish. And yeah, he caught fish and then I caught fish, and then I went on to start catching a few more. Went on a short line, and yeah, nothing to start off with, but then within a couple of casts I got them going on the short line. It was a bit quicker catching the smaller fish on the short line, but yeah, other than that, went back out on the long line, started creeping out slowly, peeling off a couple of metres at a time, seeing if they'd been, you know, the big ones have backed off of the bait. But no, as soon as I started doing that I couldn't even get the small ones. So yeah, it was yeah, it was a tough old day, but anyway, enjoyable, nice to get out, which is good. Sorry I didn't achieve what we wanted to do, which was catch a nice big bream, but I'm sure we will sooner rather than later on here, once the weather warms up a little bit. So anyway guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I've certainly enjoyed making it, even if I was freezing cold. It was really nice to get out and blow a few cobwebs out. Anyway, if you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and you want to see more of these videos like this, then obviously please subscribe. So anyway guys, I shall look forward to seeing you in the swim again very soon. See you later.